The couch had seen better days, though no one in the Connor house could remember exactly when those better days had been. Its cushions sagged like tired shoulders. Its fabric carried the quiet history of spilled drinks, late-night naps, and conversations that stretched far longer than they were supposed to. On this particular afternoon, it also carried DJ, who lay bundled in a blanket with the stubborn dignity of a man determined to be sick on his own terms. The front door creaked open, and a familiar voice drifted in with the cold air. "Hey, DJ, what are you doing here?" DJ shifted slightly, lifting his head just enough to acknowledge the presence without fully committing to the effort. "Gina sent me over because she does not want her or Mary to get sick. I guess she figured whatever germs are living in this couch would kill the intruders." A faint smile tugged at his lips. "You are in luck, Deej." From the kitchen came the sound of a cabinet opening, followed by the clink of metal against ceramic. The unlabeled, "Can that was in the pantry since we were kids? Chicken soup. Tastes okay." "Yeah," DJ muttered, settling back. "I figured." The can was barely swollen. There was a pause, then a cautious, "Hey, hey." Footsteps approached, then halted abruptly. "Oh, do not go near DJ. He is sick, and I have used up all my nurturing on him. So if you guys get sick, I am just going to yell at you. Sorry, Uncle DJ. I cannot get sick anyway." One of the kids chimed in. "I have a test tomorrow." "I do, too," another added quickly. "So if you want to cough on my scarf, please do. Thank you." The room hummed with that familiar rhythm of teasing and concern, woven so tightly together that it was hard to tell where one ended and the other began. "So, where's Dan?" someone asked. "Mom wants some shelves put in above her bed for her bowling trophies." "Why can you not do it?" "Because if it falls, I am the one with the obvious motive." There was a beat of silence before someone snorted. "Dad is covering my vending machine route today. I hope he can handle it." The room shifted, the humor taking on a slightly sharper edge. "It is a very complicated job." "What is it?" "Just like you open a glass door and you replace the chips and the candy?" "Yeah. And space travel is just lighting a rocket and landing on the moon." "Did you just equate space travel with servicing a vending machine?" Before anyone could answer, the front door burst open again, this time with far less grace. "Oh, Dan. My God. What happened?" Dan stood there, looking as though he had just wrestled with gravity and lost. "A vending machine fell over on me." "I knew it." "Are you okay?" "Again, a vending machine fell on me." "How?" "They are bolted to the wall. This one was not." "Are you sure?" "Yeah, I am sure. I had plenty of time to stare at the wall while it was crushing me." Despite the concern that flickered across every face in the room, there was still room for humor. Because in that house, humor was not just a habit. It was survival. "Well, how bad is it?" "I had to spend 4 hours in the emergency room. Nobody has insurance now, so they use it like a doctor office. It is a no-win situation because the emergency room has to take you. But it costs a fortune. All I know is it was only $6,000. If I had had my other pants on, I would have paid it right then." 6,000? The number hung in the air, heavy and unwelcome. "I thought Medicare covered most of it." "They did. But they made me take every test they could think of. That is the co-pay. We cannot afford this. And it is the company's fault. You know what? They better pay or we are going to have to sue." "Wait. You cannot sue the company I work for. Eat your old soup and be quiet." "Relax, Deej. I am not suing anybody. I am sure the company will cover my expenses." "Oh, do not be naive, Dan. Those companies will nickel and dime you." The conversation unraveled from there, stretching into debates, jokes, frustrations, and plans that were not quite plans yet. It carried them into new spaces, into conversations about work, about choices, about the strange ways people try to find meaning in the small corners of their lives. Jackie talked about her website with a kind of hopeful pride that only she could manage. You see the drum majorette in the sun? That implies I can lead you to a life where nobody rains on your parade. Yeah, that is a huge stretch. You want to hear about my day? I do not care. I do. And just like that, the focus shifted again. From injuries to flirtations. From vending machines to boundaries. From the simple act of getting through the day to the complicated act of understanding oneself. Life in that house never moved in straight lines. It looped and twisted, doubling back on itself, layering humor over worry, love over frustration, and always finding a way forward. When the lawyer finally arrived, he brought with him the promise of solutions, wrapped in careful words and confident tones. I am here to fight for you, he said. Dan listened, skeptical but hopeful in spite of himself. I am not looking to win the lottery. All I want is my hospital bills paid. But hope, like everything else in that house, was complicated. It grew when they imagined what a little extra money could mean. A repaired water heater, a chance at college, an art class that might open a door that had always felt just out of reach. It shrank when reality pushed back, when negotiations turned into compromises, when expectations met the quiet limits of the world. In the end, the settlement was not what they had dreamed of. It was smaller, tighter, less than enough. But even then, something remained. Because in that house, value was never measured only in money. It was measured in the way Dan still insisted his grandson would go to that art class. It was measured in the way Darlene fought, even when she knew the fight might not end the way she wanted. It was measured in Jackie trying, in her own chaotic way, to help someone believe they could be more than what they saw in the mirror. It was measured in laughter that came too quickly, and honesty that came too late, and love that was always there, even when it was buried under sarcasm. The house did not change overnight. The couch did not get replaced. The bills did not disappear. But something quieter settled in. A kind of understanding. That life would not always work out the way they planned. That sometimes people would let them down. That sometimes they would have to choose between what was fair and what was possible. And that, somehow, they would keep going anyway. Because they always had. And because, in that messy, noisy, imperfect house, going forward together was the one thing they could always afford. The couch had a memory of its own, or at least that was how it felt to anyone who sat on it long enough. It remembered laughter that came too loud and too late at night. It remembered arguments that started over nothing and ended over everything. It remembered children who had grown taller than the backrest and adults who had never quite grown out of needing a place to collapse at the end of the day. On that afternoon, it held DJ, who lay there wrapped in a blanket, looking less like a patient and more like a stubborn man negotiating with his own immune system. Hey, DJ, what are you doing here? The voice came from the doorway, casual and familiar. DJ opened one eye, then the other, as if waking required a committee vote. Gina sent me over because she does not want her or Mary to get sick, he said. I guess she figured whatever germs are living in this couch would kill the intruders. A dry laugh drifted from the kitchen. You are in luck, Deej. There was the sound of a cabinet opening. Then the hesitant clink of metal against ceramic. Someone had found something. The unlabeled, "Can that was in the pantry since we were kids?" Chicken soup. Tastes okay. Yeah, DJ said, closing his eyes again. I figured. The can was barely swollen. There was a pause. Then a soft testing. Hey. Hey. Footsteps approached. Then stopped abruptly. Oh. Do not go near DJ. He is sick. And I have used up all my nurturing on him. So if you guys get sick, I am just going to yell at you. Sorry. Uncle DJ. I cannot get sick anyway. I have a test tomorrow. I do. Too. So if you want to cough on my scarf, please do. Thank you. The room settled into a rhythm that was uniquely theirs. A mixture of teasing and concern that never quite separated into clean categories. It was affection in disguise. The kind that did not announce itself, but was always present. So, where's Dan? Mom wants some shelves put in above her bed for her bowling trophies. Why can you not do it? Because if it falls, I am the one with the obvious motive. That earned a small burst of laughter. Quick and easy. Dad is covering my vending machine route today. I hope he can handle it. It is a very complicated job. What is it? Just like you open a glass door and you replace the chips and the candy? Yeah. And space travel is just lighting a rocket and landing on the moon. Did you just equate space travel with servicing a vending machine? Before the argument could fully bloom, the front door opened again, this time with a force that interrupted everything. Oh, Dan. My God. What happened? Dan stood in the doorway, slightly hunched, as though he had just had a conversation with gravity that had not gone his way. A vending machine fell over on me. The room went still, then immediately filled with voices. I knew it. Are you okay? Again. A vending machine fell on me. How? They are bolted to the wall. This one was not. Are you sure? Yeah. I am sure. I had plenty of time to stare at the wall while it was crushing me. Concern moved through the room. But it did not replace the humor. It never did. In this house, humor and worry walked side by side, each one making the other easier to carry. Well, how bad is it? I had to spend 4 hours in the emergency room. Nobody has insurance now, so they use it like a doctor office. It is a no-win situation because the emergency room has to take you. But it costs a fortune. All I know is it was only $6,000. If I had had my other pants on, I would have paid it right then. 6,000? The number landed heavily. I thought Medicare covered most of it. They did. But they made me take every test they could think of. That is the co-pay. We cannot afford this. And it is the company's fault. You know what? They better pay or we are going to have to sue. Wait. You cannot sue the company I work for. Eat your old soup and be quiet. Relax. Deej. I am not suing anybody. I am sure the company will cover my expenses. Oh. Do not be naive. Dan. Those vending machine companies will nickel and dime you. The conversation stretched, looping from frustration to humor and back again, never settling for long in either place. It carried them forward into the next part of the day, where problems shifted shape but never quite disappeared. Jackie stood in the living room later, holding up her phone with the enthusiasm of someone unveiling a masterpiece. Hey, check out my updated website. I am using icons to subliminally suggest that people use my services. So, you see the drum majorette in the sun? That implies I can lead you to a life where nobody rains on your parade. Yeah, that is a huge stretch. You want to hear about my day? I do not care. I do. The confession came quickly, followed by another. The owner told me I have to stop flirting with the other employees. Well, to be fair, you did have relationships with 2 of them. Yeah, he led with that. Did he single you out? No. He told everyone there is going to be 0 tolerance for fraternizing amongst the employees. And he is making us all take boundary awareness training. Well, that is not the worst thing for you. It is stupid. Work is where most people meet. And meeting people at work is perfect because you know they have jobs. Jackie leaned in slightly, shifting from casual conversation into something that resembled advice. Let me talk to you. Not as your aunt, but as Lanford leading certified life coach. Maybe you are flirting too much in general. For instance, the guy at the pharmacy. It is just a little game we play. He asked you to marry him, and you have not said no yet. That is the game. At least let me help you get your boundary awareness certificate. I am fully accredited. She held up her phone again, pointing at an image with exaggerated seriousness. A wise old owl is saying it. Life continued in that uneven rhythm, each scene folding into the next. Dan found himself sitting across from a representative of the vending machine company, a man whose friendliness felt carefully measured. "I am sorry to hear you hurt yourself. Mr. Connor, please call me Dan. Before we start, how about a snack? Snack time is all the time. That is our slogan." Dan stared at him for a moment. "I thought it would be something more like, 'We crush you with our vending machines.'" The man smiled as though the joke had been rehearsed. "We have cheese puffs, mini pretzels, and cheese and crackers. You know the little red plastic paddle in the cheese and cracker packet? That was us." Dan leaned forward, patient but firm. "I do not want to take up a lot of your time. I am just asking to get my medical bills covered because your machine should have been bolted to that wall." The answer came smoothly, almost too smoothly. "It is not that simple. You are not an authorized technician. This never would have happened had you been trained for the job." It fell on him. "Are you saying if my dad was trained that gravity would have behaved differently?" The negotiation unraveled from there, tension slipping through polite words. "My company has a heart, and I have been authorized to offer to pay half your medical bills." "Half?" The word echoed. "I guess we are going to have to get ourselves a lawyer." Once that word entered the room, everything shifted. At home, the conversation carried new weight. "We need somebody to fight for us." "I do not want a lawyer. Just hear him out. He is obviously very successful. I saw his commercial at a gas pump." "Oh, well, if the gas station recommends him, why are you pushing this so hard?" "Because we were already struggling. And if you cannot work for a long time, it will break us." The truth settled in quietly, heavier than any joke. When the lawyer arrived, he brought confidence with him, the kind that sounded reassuring even when it was uncertain. "I am here to fight for you." Dan listened, cautious. "I am not looking to win the lottery. All I want is my hospital bills paid." But the lawyer saw more. "You deserve more than that. You were wronged." Hope grew again, carefully, like something that had learned to be cautious. They imagined possibilities. A repaired home, a future with fewer worries, opportunities that had always seemed just out of reach. But reality returned, as it always did. The settlement was smaller than promised. Not enough to change everything, just enough to matter. The disappointment was quiet, but it was real. "You made my family think things were going to work out for once. And then you walked away." Dan stood with that truth, letting it settle. Inside the house, life continued. "Grandpa, how much money are you going to get?" "We are not getting rich, but it might help a little." Dreams shifted accordingly, shrinking and reshaping themselves. "Can you imagine? Maybe we fix the house. Maybe we think about college. Maybe we take that art class. It cost a lot of money." One voice said carefully, "Is it important to you?" "Yeah." "Then you are going." Even in disappointment, there was generosity. Even in uncertainty, there was choice. Later, in a quieter moment, another kind of conversation unfolded. "One of the reasons you may be looking for validation is because you do not feel good about what you have accomplished." "How can you say that? Look around you." The words were not harsh. They were honest. "So we are going to come up with a plan. Something that gives you purpose." "What is your dream job?" There was hesitation. Then honesty. "I have always wanted to work at the museum, in the room where they clean fossils and artifacts." "That sounds like uncovering history. I do not even know where to start." "Find someone who is doing it and talk to them." The advice was simple, but it carried weight. Life did not change all at once. Bills still existed. Work was still uncertain. The couch still sagged under the weight of years and stories. But something else existed too. A kind of quiet determination. The understanding that even when things did not work out the way they hoped, they could still choose what mattered. They could still support each other. They could still laugh. They could still move forward. And in that house, with its worn furniture and steady noise, that was enough. Because enough did not mean perfect. It meant continuing. Together.